We are, and tonight we did watch the debate. So we were in our living room, so now we're not in the bedroom talk. This is the living room talk for tonight. Um, so yeah, we finished watching the debates, and we actually saw it one and a half times this evening.
Yeah. So, what'd you think? Who won? What'd you
Oh,
think? Who won?
who do I think won? Well, gosh, because we watched on CNN. And if you listen to them, Hillary's won. But then we switched over to Fox, and Fox is just naming all these other people that are just saying, Trump is ahead. And I just have a headache.
Well, I'll tell you who lost rather than who won.
Right.
The American people lost. Really did. It's, I wrote a little blog today, I haven't posted it, about bias in the media. And I'll give you the essence of it. It's really that, typically the conservatives, the Republicans will say the mainstream media is biased. They're all liberal. And there's something to support that. There's twice as many journalists that identify themselves as Democrat rather than Republican. When they survey people, the general public, they find and they rate the various news networks. They typically rate as liberal. But I don't think that's where the bias is. I mean, there's a bias there, but there's another bias that's even stronger than that. And I'll call it journalistic bias. We forget that they're journalists. They sell news. They want viewers. And so they will report and they will, in this case, ask questions that are provocative questions, the ones that create the greatest controversy, that try to create, and this election cycle has been perfect for them. They absolutely love it. Because Trump throws out these comments,
right,
and
so he said,
they
she
jump,
said,
yeah, crooked Hillary and lying Ted and and racist, bigoted Trump, and just all this name calling, and then they go through and try and support this and say, you said this, how do you respond to that? You said this, how do you respond to that? And it gets people watching. People love the hype and the controversy. And I have to say that the moderator, on a liberal conservative, I think he was very biased. He asked a number of attack questions on Trump and
trumped up charges.
And and it wasn't balanced. I expect that, but I expect balance. The same kinds of questions asked to Hillary, and he didn't. Yeah. But and it's easy to say, oh, that's a liberal bias, but it's a media bias. He wanted to ask the questions that were going to create the greatest controversy. Probably the most inappropriate question I thought was about Obama's birth certificate. Obama's been in office for 7.5 years. He's almost at the end of his term. What does his birth certificate have to do with this election? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And he framed it under a racist thing. To ask for someone's birth certificate that's running for president, if he's black, is a racist thing. And yet, the only qualifications we have in the Constitution to say you have to do these things in order to be president are proven out by showing your birth certificate. You have to be 35 years of age, and you have to have been born as an American citizen in the U.S. And actually, and then there's the debate of whether Hillary asked for that first, her team, or whether Trump asked for that. But why
Who cares?
Why?
He's
Why
been
didn't Obama?
president.
Why didn't Obama just show it to begin with and be over with it?
Right.
Because it is a requirement.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
why does it matter now?
If it was in question, then why not just produce your birth certificate and let us know?
It doesn't matter now. The good question would be, Donald, will you produce your birth certificate? Hillary, are you willing to produce your birth certificate? Instead, it's, will you produce your tax returns? Which is, I don't remember seeing in that Constitution that was a requirement.
No.
Anyway, I think they had
one.
But
you don't have to show your 33,000 emails that you deleted either. So.
Right. But all of those are hype. You know, they're all, let's create the controversy. Let's get all this focus onto these peripheral issues. You know, they have some significance, but I think the only really legitimate question that they asked that actually got into policy, and then they never really explored it very much, was the very, very first question, which was about, you know, how are you going to make the economy better and create jobs and make life better for Americans? And, you know, Donald Trump did his thing about, you know, trade agreements and that we're losing jobs overseas. And Hillary went right down the Democratic platform. She actually, I think she even took him in order for that question on the Democratic platform. Anyway, so need to sum up. I think the American people lost because we talked about all these other issues and we really didn't get to, you know, what are the key policies and how are you going to accomplish things? I mean, Hillary ran through, you know, minimum wage and we're going to make the rich pay and we're going to give away free college and we're doing all these things, and nobody asked how. Mm-hmm. You know.
Oh, well, you go onto her website too.
Yeah, there was a plug for her website in her book and for his website. Book. Anyway, we're out of time. That's my spin on the elections, and it's really sad that we don't spend more time on it. And an election or a debate shouldn't be who wins or loses. It should be what have the American people learned about the candidates so they can vote more intelligently.
Exactly.
And I'm afraid that's not the way the media is approaching it.
Well, there's still 2 more debates to come.
Yeah. So we'll see if they get any better on the other ones.
Right.
That's it for tonight.
Okay.
Bye.